is Valley News Live at 4.
New developments this afternoon on a case we've been following for you for weeks. The man accused of forcing a woman to drive to a bank at gunpoint to withdraw money from an ATM in Moorhead has been arrested. 30-year-old Sharmaki Abdullahi is charged with felony kidnapping, first-degree aggravated robbery, threats of violence, and theft charges. Officers say it happened back on October 19th. Just before lunchtime, they were called to Gate City Bank for a frantic female. The woman told officers she was pulled over in her car on University Avenue in Fargo. When Abdullahi came up to her car, knocked on her window. When she rolled down the window, she says he pointed a handgun at her and told her to unlock her car. As the officer attempted to handcuff Abdullahi, court documents say he ran into an apartment building in the 3000 block of 18th Street South in Moorhead before eventually being arrested. If convicted, he faces up to 25 years in prison. Hutch joins us now with a first look at your forecast. Hutch?
Stacey, thanks so much. A cloudy, a gray day, but a little quieter than our weekend that was very white. This squirrel here taking advantage of a little break in the flaky activity to gather a few more peanuts out there. Thanks, Sherry, for forwarding your photo there. And a lot of photos shared with us on valleynewslive.com. Take a moment and go check it out. This is a bundt cake shaped pile of snow out in Dorothy, Minnesota, if you've ever been through that area or neck of the woods. Here's Helen's photo. What a wagon wheel shot there. Well, we got some more things that we're watching for, and that's fog tonight. More on that in a second. Right now, we have cloudy skies. We do have light winds and temperatures that are on the cool side once again. Take a look at the range in temperatures. That really sticks out like a thumb you just hit with a hammer. 27 in Baudette right now. Look at this. They're growing bananas down there and heading her 63. Well, some of that warm air is trying to make its way towards us. It just ain't going to make much progress. We will warm up a bit, but we will have some fog. We'll have some wind. We're also going to have some flakes and showers. Stacey, coming up in just a few moments, I'll have hour-by-hour details on what you can expect in your neck of the woods here in just a few moments.
A little bit of everything. Thanks, Hutch.
You bet.
Our first shot of winter led to more than 300 crashes this weekend. 58 in North Dakota, more than 200 in Minnesota, several dozen of them in our region. Minnesota State Patrol officials say I-94 was extremely busy with several semis jackknifed and cars in ditches as a result of the winter weather. More on that tonight on Valley News Live at 5 and 6. Roads in West Fargo are closed this afternoon because of a water main break. The city says 1st Avenue Northwest between 5th Street and 6th Street Northwest are closed. Drivers should expect delays in that area this evening. The city says they hope to have it all fixed by the end of the day. We're following a developing story for you this afternoon out of Crookston. City council members are holding a public meeting to talk about the next steps surrounding a right turn lane on westbound Robert Street, where a 10-year-old girl was hit by a semi last month. Minnesota Department of Transportation says they're moving the turn lane and parking spaces that have been removed near the intersection to allow for wider turns in that area. Tonight's meeting starts at 6 p.m. at the Crookston City Hall chambers. We'll break down what comes out of that meeting for you tonight on Valley News Live at 10. The nation's top infectious disease expert says the U.S. is doing generally well fighting COVID-19, but it's a bit of a mixed bag. Cases are rising in some areas just as Americans gear up for the holiday season. CBS's Bradley Blackburn reports from New York.
Some good news for millions of Americans looking forward to the holidays.
If you get vaccinated and your family's vaccinated, you can feel good about enjoying a typical Thanksgiving, Christmas, with your family and close friends.
The nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says the U.S. is still seeing about 70,000 new COVID-19 cases a day. While that's down significantly from mid-September, some areas are now seeing an uptick.
We still have about 60 million people in the country who are eligible to be vaccinated who have not yet gotten vaccinated.
Some hotspots in the country, like Colorado, are taking additional steps to get a handle on infections. Starting Friday, the state health department will require proof of vaccination at most indoor events with more than 500 people. Officials in Colorado have also made booster shots available to all adults, not just those in high-risk groups.
Everybody should get the booster after 6 months. The data is incredibly clear that it increases your personal protection level.
Dr. Fauci said if most people who are eligible for a booster go get one, 2022 can start looking a lot more normal.
But there are many miles to go before we turn the page on 2021. Dozens of Democratic lawmakers sent President Biden a letter asking him to require proof of full vaccination or a negative test for airline passengers on domestic flights, hoping to reduce the chances of another winter surge. Republicans in Florida are taking a different approach.
We believe that people should have options.
State lawmakers are considering legislation to block federal vaccine rules and limit mask mandates. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Meanwhile, today Austria implemented a nationwide lockdown for unvaccinated people who haven't recently had COVID-19. The move, which took effect at midnight, prohibits people 12 years old and older who haven't been vaccinated or recently recovered from leaving their homes, except for basic activities they define as working, grocery shopping, going for a walk, or getting vaccinated. The lockdown is initially being imposed until November 24th in the Alpine country of almost 9 million people. Officials have said the police patrols will be stepped up and unvaccinated people can be fined up to $1,600 if they violate the lockdown. President Biden is celebrating a big win at the White House today as he signs a massive bipartisan infrastructure bill. The president says he's also optimistic Congress will pass his social spending plan, but it comes amid declining approval ratings. The $1.2 trillion measure funds the repair of the nation's aging ports, roadways, and public transit, and it invests in clear drinking water and expanded broadband access.
No one is denying that inflation and any element of raising costs is an issue for the American people. We're proposing solutions. In the short term, we have to continue to get COVID under control. In the medium and long term, we want to pass this agenda.
The president will take his message directly to the American people again this week, traveling to New Hampshire and Michigan to tout both the infrastructure bill and his social spending and climate plan. Now, that one costs $1.75 trillion, and it's called Build Back Better. The president's top economic advisor says it'll help ease the inflation Americans are dealing with, while Senator Joe Manchin says he's concerned the new spending could send prices even higher. The White House says there's high confidence House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will bring it up and it'll pass this week. Fargo City Commissioners are being asked to consider ending a wildlife management program that allows bow hunters to kill deer within city limits. Police Chief Dave Zabolski says a recent study shows that harvest rates are low. The plan is no longer effective and it's created a public safety threat. He'll ask the commission at tonight's meeting to eliminate the program. The hunt started more than 15 years ago in several city parks along the Red River after complaints over the growing number of deer in the city. Zabolski says the hunt is time consuming for the officers who manage it. We'll have what comes out of tonight's meeting for you on Valley News Live at 10. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial will soon be in the hands of the jury after lawyers finish their closing arguments. The 18-year-old from Illinois claims he acted in self-defense when he fatally shot 2 people and wounded a third last year in Kenosha, Wisconsin during a tense night of protest. Nancy Chen has more from outside the courthouse in Kenosha.
Kyle Rittenhouse sat listening in the courtroom as prosecutors made their final case against him.
We shouldn't have 17-year-olds running around our streets with AR-15s. Because this is exactly what happens.
During the trial, the teenager testified he acted in self-defense when he shot 3 people, 2 fatally, with an AR-15 style weapon during a tense night of protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year.
I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself.
But prosecutors argued Rittenhouse provoked the situation when he pointed his gun at an unarmed man.
You cannot claim self-defense against a danger you create.
Rittenhouse's mother, Wendy, spoke to us and defended her son's actions that night.
Kyle's nature is to help people.
So in talking to him, he does regret going that night now?
Yeah, he does.
Rittenhouse was facing 6 charges, but the judge dismissed one of them, possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18, because the defense argued that Wisconsin law had an exception that applied in this case.
I think it ought to have been mighty clear that I had big problems with this statute. I made no bones about that.
Rittenhouse could serve life in prison if convicted of the most serious charge, first-degree intentional homicide. Nancy Chen, CBS News, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Meanwhile, the Wisconsin governor signed an order authorizing approximately 500 National Guard troops to assist authorities in Kenosha following the verdict of that trial. Officials say they'll be in standby mode, ready to respond if they're requested by law enforcement. Special Olympics North Dakota organizers are fundraising and preparing to restart their winter sports season after it was canceled last year. The Bismarck-based chapter invited members to Midway Lanes on Saturday for their first fundraiser. The team hopes to raise about $20,000 through next year for equipment, travel expenses, and training. Organizer Amanda Yellow said seeing her team back together is rewarding.
As a coach, I've always said I feel like I almost get more out of it than I put into it because it is one of the best sports and one of the best things to participate in. It's so wonderful to see them to compete against athletes from all over the state.
Yellow says the team plans to restart the basketball program in January. The Alara Center has announced a new concert coming to Grand Forks. Country singer Morgan Wallen is bringing the Dangerous Tour with special guests Hardy and Larry Fleet to the Alara Center on March 12th. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Do you have questions before signing your child up to get the COVID-19 vaccine? Coming up on Valley News Live at 4, one pediatrician answers some of the top questions.
I showed you those temperatures out west. There's some warm air trying to push its way in, but we'll be following up a warm frontal passage with a cold one. Check out this. We had some cleanup to do this morning in Grand Forks. Zip, 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 zip. There it is. I wish it was that easy. We'll have details on a little bit of everything in your Tuesday forecast next.